Hi, I'm Ross Williams and I'm here to introduce our 2019 hybrid rig packages and rig sales, and I'm going to talk you through what they're all about and also how to rig them and how to get the best out of your sales. So first, a bit of background information on the hybrid. The hybrid is designed in the smaller sizes up to 5.2 to be a wave sail, a power wave sail. So it's going to have the characteristics of our old Poison sail. Apart from it has a HD heavy duty X-ply window in it, and then the sizes from 5.2 up to 6.4 are going to be our bump and jump kind of sail. They're also going to contain this strong X-ply material in the window, and then the larger sizes are going to be a traditional free ride blasting sail. So basically the idea is, if you want to pick one sail that's going to do all conditions, wave sailing, bump and jump to free ride, then you can pick the hybrid. Okay, so at the moment I've got two of the hybrids rigged up. I've got the wave sail rigged up and I've got the free ride. I'm going to unroll and show you what's in the package of the bump and jump 5.6. So it comes in this blue bag, so all the components come inside here, and this contains a mast. Normally I would recommend rigging them on at least a 60 to 75% mast to get the best performance from them. The mast curve we use on all our sails now are constant curves, so though I do recommend you use a Gaston mast, they can interchange with many of the other brands. So if you've got a mast from another brand, then it's easy to interchange and use something different. Okay, so there we have all our components for the sail, for the rig. We have a aluminium boom, we have a 30% constant curve bend mast, we have the rig, we have an extension, and we have an uphaul. So it's basically everything you need to get out on the water. So first thing you want to do when you're rigging up a sail is you want to check that the surrounding area is safe to rig up. You don't want to have any stones or any hard surfaces that could rip or tear the sail. So a nice grassy area would work well. Next, you're going to take the tack fairing and you're going to unclip it here, and you can unroll your sail. The next thing you want to do is you want to take the mast, and before you connect it, you just make sure that the ferrule's all nice and clean. So you don't want any dirt in there, because otherwise it could jam up and could cause you problems. Next step is you're gonna look to the bottom of the sail and you're gonna thread the mast up the inside of the luff sleeve from the foot of the sail, and it should just guide up the inside there. And then with very little force, just have a little pull, but I don't want to pull too hard on the strap here because it could tear off. That's not really what it's meant for. It's just to guide it up gently. And when I feel that it's becoming a bit more difficult, I can move up to the center part where the boom cutout is, and then just use my hands till I feel the mast hit the head of the sail, and then just pull down to the bottom. Next, I want to make sure that the top of the sail is sitting nicely. The mast cap is sitting nicely on the top of the mast. Now on the hybrid sails, they don't have this traditional button that you might find on one of the Manics or one of the other sails. So you can just stick your finger down the top of the mast sleeve, and you can just check if it's sitting nice and cleanly in there. Once that's done, you're ready to put some tension on the sail. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to put the extension into the bottom of the mast, and you're going to pull some tension on the sail. So you can see at the bottom of the sail here we have all the measurements so it can help as a guideline to how you should rig your sail. So luff means the length of the luff sleeve plus the extension length. The boom is obviously the boom length, so you adjust that to make it the right, and then it has a recommendation for what mast to use. So this is a 430 RDM that is recommended, but actually you'll find that the hybrid is quite versatile and can sit on many different masts and many different stiffnesses as well. Like I said before, with the package comes a 30% carbon mast, but if I was buying the rig separately, you might want to have a slightly more reactive mast, and you might go for a 75 or even 100% mast, depending on your budget. Okay, so I look and I can see that I only need a 3 centimeter extension, so I put that on the lowest one here, and you see I've just rolled up the tack fairing so it shows off the pulley, so it's easy for me to thread the rope up, round and through. So first I'm only going to pull on a little bit of tension, because I'm going to check again to make sure that the mast is connected, both pieces together nicely, and also the head of the sail is in the top of the sail again. So a quick check. Should be able to feel the ferrule of the mast and make sure that it's connected. Yep, that's connected. And again, just stick my finger down the top of the mast sleeve here, and yes, I can tell that that's sitting nicely in top. So the next thing I'm going to do when rigging these rig packages or any other rig is I'm going to put the boom on. So just to rig it as easy as possible, I just stick it in the middle of the boom cutout, and the boom slips nicely onto the mast there. Wrap the in-haul around, and then I'm just going to close the slot there, fasten in the boom. My next step is I'm going to just check again how much is written on the bottom of the sail for the boom, and it says 178, so I'm going to adjust the boom here so it extends to a 178, which should be just about here on 38. Thread it around, and then I'm going to pull some tension on. Don't have to pull it all the way, just enough that you bring the battens further away from the mast. And I'm not even going to tie it off. I'm just going to come back now, and my sail is almost ready for me to finish rigging. I'm going to sit down on the floor somewhere nice and stable, so I'm able to pull the downhaul on without hurting myself or falling over. The hybrid's quite a soft sail, so it's easy for me to pull on the downhaul without any downhaul aid. Once that's done, I'll go back to the boom, check that the settings are right. I can see I want to pull a bit more away, so the body of the sail has a bit of tension on, and and the head is nice and open, and then I tie off the outhaul. Come back to the downhaul again. I'm happy with the downhaul, so I'm just going to tie the rope off. I can do a couple of knots around the bottom here, and then at the bottom of the tack fairing we have this little pocket, which I usually keep a batten tensioning key, and then I can also add the excess rope too, just like that. So for the final part of the rigging is I just want to make sure that I get all the creases out of the battens, so all the material, so the sail is going to feel nice and tensioned. So I go around and check I have enough tension. I don't want to over tension them, but I want to see that there's nice, all the creases are out, and that the material in the sail is looking nice and clean. And that's how you rig your hybrid sail, and now you're ready to hit the water. Okay, so I've just finished rigging the third sail in the hybrid range. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the sails. So we'll start with the smaller sizes in the range, and those are predominantly a power wave design sail. So they're designed to be really light, strong, yet still pretty simple design for easy to use for centers, and for those guys that are beginning to get their own gear for the first time. So the features are of a wave sail. So plenty of power, low end power. We have a large X-ply window in the center, which is very good for strengthening the sail. I think most of the sizes come with a 4 batten, and like we have the colored monofilm film at the top here, and we have the stronger X-ply down at the bottom, because generally when you're learning and stuff, and this area of the sail comes under a lot of pressure from either your knee or from your harness hook, so it's good that area is nice and strong. Yeah, so basically this is how I would kind of rig my wave sail of the hybrid. As for adjustments to it, what I want to do is if it's light for light winds, then I might use a little less downhaul. I don't want the sail to be feeling heavy in my hands, so if I feel like that it's got a lot of power in the hands but there's no release, no quickness up onto the plane, then I will want to pull a bit more tension. And as for outhaul, I generally like to have enough outhaul that the sail will just perhaps touch the back end of the boom, in between the harness line and the adjustable part of the boom here. Again, if your sail's starting to feel a bit heavy and a bit soft, then you might want to pull a little bit more tension. If you're getting overpowered, then you pull the outhaul on. Again, if you're looking for power, then release a bit of outhaul, makes the sail feel a bit softer, easier to pump and get on the plane. The final thing I adjust, and it's really quite a personal thing, is the boom height. I usually use a boom height between chest and chin as a general rule, especially if I'm wave sailing. The higher you put the boom, it might be useful for if the wind is a bit lighter and you want to be able to get the board up and flying a bit more. And likewise, if you're overpowered and you're looking to gain a bit of control, then it's useful to put the boom down lower, so you're able to squat down, sit down, keep your weight down, so the sail's not able to pull you over the front and you're able to maintain control. Yeah, and that's basically how I'd set up the wave sail of the hybrid range. Okay, so moving on to the middle size ranges of the hybrid sail. This is a bump and jump sail. Again, we're using the X-ply window for extra strength. This is great for use as a school rig because you gotta have a lot of heavy wear and tear, and this is just a great way of protecting your sail. Yeah, so these are going to have five battens in. They're going to have a tube batting in for tension and keeping the shape for using when you're overpowered. As for tuning these sails, again, it's pretty much universal the way you tune any sail. So I just run you through the little tips I use. First of all, outhaul. For outhaul, basically, I want to have as much power in the hands as possible without feeling that the sail is twisting away and making me move my body involuntary. So I generally pull the outhaul on enough so that the sail comes away from the boom, but if I push down on it here, then I can pretty much just about get it to touch here. If the wind gets a bit stronger, then I might pull a bit more on. That's going to make the sail flatter. It's going to take some of the power out of the sail. And in the lighter stuff, I might release it a little bit more. I might let it actually touch the boom, make the sail feel a bit deeper, adds a bit more power to it. The downhaul, generally I usually set all my sails with the same amount of downhaul, and I usually just play around with the outhaul. But if I want to know how much downhaul to set, I basically want the sail to feel nice and light in the hands and easy to pump. Usually if you've got a good sign that if you've got not enough downhaul on, is the sail is going to feel a bit heavy. And when you go to pump the sail onto plane, it's going to keep the nose down in the water. It's not going to feel like it's going to have a lot of power in the hands, but it's not going to allow it to get up and get planing away. So you might want to pull a little bit more tension on. If you over tension the sail, then the sail could become off balanced again. It's going to feel like you've got no backhand pressure. The sail will be very sensitive to the gust. So like in the gust it might feel really nice, but in the lulls then you're not going to have that backhand there to help you support you. So you basically want to have enough just to have a nice balance feeling in the hands, but not too heavy pressure that it's just driving the nose down. And again, likewise with the boom height, maybe in a bump and jump I might use a slightly higher boom than I would do in a wave sail. It just depends on the conditions. The higher the boom, the easier I find in the marginal conditions to get the board up and planing, get it feathering, getting it sailing off the fin. If I'm overpowered and I'm using the sail and I'm feeling really feel like I've got too much power and I'm a bit out of control, then I will lower the boom down maybe to below my chin height so that I'm able to sit down in my harness and keep control of the board. And that's how I would tune the middle sizes of the hybrid. So again, we're moving on to the larger sizes of the hybrid, which is a free ride blasting sail. So we've added an extra batten into the sail. It's definitely more of a free ride or flat water base rotational sail with no cams. And again, the basics apply for tuning this. Basically, I want to have enough outhaul so that the battens are not protruding out the front of the mast, and so that I can push down and maybe just get the sail to touch the back end of the boom there. If I've got too much tension in the sail would be flat. I have no power. It won't be very nice for pumping. You would find it hard to struggle to get up and planing. If you have too much belly in the sail, again, it might feel a little unstable. Might feel like you want to send you up and into the wind with too much backhand pressure. So you want to sit there, find the right amount of outhaul for the conditions that you're sailing in. So more outhaul takes the power out of the sail, less outhaul puts power in the sail. Also the same with the downhaul. Again, if you feel like that you have got a heavy sail in your hands, but you don't have any acceleration, then it's probably due to the fact that you've got not enough tension on your downhaul. So you want to pull a bit more, that you have a nice balanced feeling in your hands, not too much backhand pressure or not too little. If you've over tensioned it, then the sail's going to feel twitchy. You might have a tendency to oversheet and fall in. So you need to find a nice balance in both your hands with the downhaul. As for boom height on these free ride sizes, again, you might want to have a slightly higher boom than you would do on the wave or on the bump and jump style rigs. The higher the boom you put, then the more easy it becomes to lift the board up and start to get it to feather onto a nice planing. The lower you put the boom, the more control you have, and that's basically it. So that's all three of our hybrid 2019 sails tuned and rigged and ready to go.